Good afternoon. This is Nicole Drake from WMON News with a special news report. The search for Deborah Saxon continues. It's been 18 hours now since the police detective was abducted from a stakeout detail in Monticello Park. Since that time, every available law enforcement officer has been scouring the city as well as the outlying areas in hopes of locating their colleague. Recently, the focal point of the hunt has become the Midwood section of Graham County, where a station wagon believed to be the same one seen speeding from the scene of the kidnapping has been found, abandoned. As each hour passes and the search continues to prove fruitless, the atmosphere in the tactical command room at the Monticello Police Headquarters, the nerve center for the rescue operation, becomes more and more grim. Officials readily admit that they have very little in the way of encouraging clues.
I thought it was a deer herb, I swear I did.
She's not even dressed in hunting clothes. I wonder what she was doing out here.
Emily always said I shouldn't go out to hunt for poor defenseless little animals. If that girl lives, I swear I'll never fire that gun again.
Well, you're as bad a shot as ever, my friend. You didn't even hit this woman. And it looks like she's dead anyway.
Detective Deborah Saxon went to Monticello Park last night to serve as a decoy in an attempt to apprehend the man who has brutally assaulted 3 women in the park in the past week. Detective Calvin Stoner was assigned as her backup, but he was attacked and rendered unconscious by a blow to the head. By the time he was revived, Detective Saxon had vanished. At first, it was thought that she had become the 4th victim of the attacker. But that theory had to be discounted, for as Deborah Saxon waited at the east end of the park, a woman was assaulted near the fountain. Later, the woman identified a known offender, Philip Walston, who subsequently was arrested and confessed to the 3 previous assaults. The solution of those crimes makes Deborah Saxon's disappearance even more of a mystery. Who abducted Deborah Saxon and why are questions the police are working on very hard at this moment to answer. If anyone has any information regarding the present whereabouts of Detective Saxon, you are urged to call this emergency police number, 555-7146. All calls will be kept in the strictest confidence.
Hello?
Is this Benny Hayes?
Who wants to know?
It's Miss Corey.
Ah, Grandma. Hi. Hey, I told you. I'm not filling any prescriptions right now.
Benny, I want to know what you've done with Deborah.
Hey, the less you know, the better.
I gave you $1,000 to teach that little tramp a lesson. But from everything I've been hearing on the news, you've done a sight more than that.
Yeah, well, we both agreed that pesky little cop deserved one hell of a scare. You know, well, I'm just making sure you get your money's worth.
She wasn't to be harmed.
She wasn't. The dude I hired just dumped her in the woods, that's all. So what? Hey, look, she's gonna find her bearings and get back. Don't worry about it.
Look, she could freeze to death out there. I have no inclination of facing a murder charge.
Grandma, you worry too much.
Well, the police know that it wasn't that park maniac who kidnapped her.
So what? There's lots of crazies running around.
They found the car your friend used. What happens if they trace it back to him?
Grandma, you know, Phil's the kind of guy who likes to drive a different car every night, you know? So he borrows other people's. You get my drift?
Oh, well, so supposing he leaves his fingerprints on the steering wheel or something. Look, if they catch him, what guarantees do you have that he won't talk? You know that criminals sometimes are offered protection for testifying. If he implicated you might tell on me.
Hey, the grand I gave him was for a one-way ticket out of town. Phil's not even around.
I'm beginning to feel sorry I ever got involved in this.
You did get involved. Just as deep as me and my buddy, and don't you forget it. Besides, Debbie's little hike in the woods is gonna slow her motor down a little bit. I don't think she's gonna be so anxious to bug me when she gets back. Which means, Grandma, that I can deliver some more medicine to you. Huh?
You swear she's going to be all right?
She might have a little head cold or something. Hey, why don't you make her some chicken soup and stop bugging me?
Should any further developments take place prior to our regularly scheduled newscast, we'll interrupt our programming to keep you posted. For WMON News, I'm Nicole Drake.
What a horrible story.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Oh, I gave the stage manager a note telling him that you were waiting for your wife in here. Nicole should be finished in the studio in just a few minutes.
Thank you. Look, how have things been going with you, Margot? I know it's a difficult time for you.
I am surviving.
From what Nicole tells me, you practically made this office your second home.
I spend an hour or two behind that desk, maybe, but then when you own and operate a television station, there are never enough hours.
Oh, come on, the place ran very smoothly before you decided to live here.
Maybe, but you know that burying oneself in one's work is an age-old way to cure any personal problems. Besides, there's nothing for me at the apartment, and this occupies my time.
Well, you know, you're more than welcome to join Nicole and me for dinner any evening.
That's very nice of you, thank you.
You're good to get out, you know, it's good medicine.
I'm not really up to any social life just yet.
Why? Couldn't hurt to try.
You know, it didn't take Elliot very long to get back into the swing of things.
What do you mean?
My dear, didn't you read today's edition of the Monticello Star?
I don't buy that rag.
I have it somewhere. Oh, yeah, file 13, where else? According to their gossip columnist, it seems he's rapidly becoming one of Monticello's social elite. Oh, here we go.
Well, he always did like the good life, didn't he?
Oh, indeed, yes, and now he's found someone who can keep him in the style to which I allowed him to become accustomed. Feast your eyes on that. Doing the night spots with none other than Nola Madison. Don't they look cozy?
Well, I wouldn't make too much of this.
Darling, I know exactly what to make of it. Simple. He's found himself another Margot Huntington. Dear Elliot must have started working on Mrs. Madison the moment I introduced him at that party. You know, the one I threw when they began production on Mansion of the Damned.
Well, you know, they were co-stars in that picture. This could be nothing more than two friends just having dinner together.
Oh, come on, Miles. You're not that naive. You know, when the role of the devil came up, it was Nola who saw to it that he got the part.
Well, he must have passed an audition.
I'll say.
Well, I must say it's not very discreet for him to be openly romancing the producer's wife.
Oh, well, Elliot never had much use for the sanctity of marriage, I'm afraid. Besides, from what I understand, Mr. and Mrs. Madison are in the process of splitting up.
Is that true? I know she didn't go with him when Owen went out to California.
Yeah. And dear Elliot didn't waste any time moving in, did he? Oh, my goodness, look how they're staring at each other. They look like two teenagers on the brink of their first romance. Well, they're absolutely perfect for each other. I mean, Elliot's heart is shaped like a cash register, and she certainly has the cash.
You think that's all it is?
Of course. I mean, Nola has money. She's tons of money. Owen told me that. And probably Elliot feels that maybe she'll help him become a big movie star. It's right according to his pattern. Last time he was down and out, he parked himself on my doorstep. And now that I have thrown him out of the apartment, he simply took his act on the road. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to keep you waiting, Miles.
No problem, no problem.
This just came over the police wire. We don't know if it has anything to do with Deborah or not.
What is it?
Well, two hunters have found a woman, a young woman, in the woods, somewhere near the mid-woods section, only they haven't identified her. That report doesn't say whether she's alive or dead.
Well, if there wasn't any identification on her, what was her description? I see. Susan, thanks for calling me. I'll be at this number for a while yet, so if you hear anything further, would you let me know? Okay, talk to you later.
Sounds like you've been given some sketchy information.
Yeah, Susan's been on top of the story ever since it broke. So if the police have any more on it, they're certainly keeping a lid on.
Not very encouraging.
No. Apparently, at first, the hunters thought that they were responsible.
They mistook the woman for an animal, obviously.
Yes. Then when they found her, she was unconscious. An ambulance is being sent out there now, so I guess we won't have any more information until after she gets medical attention.
Well, I just hope it was, Deborah. And I hope she's all right.
Yeah, but the odds seem to be against that, don't they, Mike?
I thought you were the positive thinker around here.
I don't know, honey. It just seems so strange that a man would take her all the way out there and not try to hurt her some way.
I suppose we better be prepared for bad news.
Yeah. I think Deborah's had enough bad news in her life lately. I'm almost afraid to answer that.
Want me to?
No. Hello?
Mrs. Carr, how you doing?
Who is that?
It's Benny. You didn't forget about me.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. I told you I'd be in touch.
Listen, could I get back to you?
Look, I'm willing to cooperate, but it's got to be by my rules. I want to talk now.
All right, I'm listening.
Listen, I've been thinking about the risks I'm going to be taking by telling you about my life.
I told you, I'll protect you. I won't use your name. I won't use the name of where you get your merchandise or where you do business.
You got all the bases covered. I like a lady with smarts.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, I think I'm going to be in a talkative mood tomorrow, so that's when we should get together.
All right.
Good. I'll get back to you with the where and when. And if we're going to have this little chat, you better pack something in your briefcase besides paper and pens and pads.
I thought we'd already agreed on that.
Yeah, $500.
It's been arranged.
Good. All right, unless I see cash, I don't talk. Nothing larger than a 20. And I'll get back to you, okay?
Anyone I know?
I think you know who that was.
Your connection, the pill pusher.
He's going to meet me, Mike. He's going to tell me his story.
I see. So you're making progress.
I certainly hope so.
You know, you could conduct this interview by telephone.
Mike, that wouldn't work. I mean, this is the kind of thing where we have to talk face to face. I mean, it's certainly in cases like this.
Case is the right word. You realize that you're walking a legal tightrope, Nancy. If he reveals crimes to you and you insist on protecting his rights.
But I have that right, Mike, under the First Amendment.
All right. I'm not going to argue legalities with you. All I'm really concerned about is your safety.
Like I told you, I've already met the man. He didn't seem very frightening. He wasn't crude. He wasn't vulgar.
I still think you should let the police know what you intend to do.
No, that would be in bad faith.
Bad faith, but good sense. That way, his immunity is protected, and so are you.
I can't take the chance.
No, I didn't think you would. I gather that money is changing hands.
Well, he considers himself a businessman, and I am paying him for his time. There's nothing unusual about that.
How much of an investment is the Monticello News making?
$500.
Cash?
Mm-hmm. He feels that that's the only sure way of getting payment.
Of course. And that way, there's never any record that the transaction took place.
No.
Nancy, you're making a big mistake by agreeing to all his demands, meeting him when he wants, where he wants, making the payment in cash.
Mike, he's the one taking the risks, and it is a seller's market.
But you're walking into this with absolutely no leverage on your side.
I want that story. I have to play by his rules.
These people have no rules. The way this thing is set up now, you could come out of this meeting with no story, no cash, and even worse.
Madison. Here's Mr. Dorn.
Ah, Nola.
Elliot, how good to see you.
Would you like me to bring in some hors d'oeuvres, ma'am?
Oh, no, thank you, Lillian. Mr. Dorn and I are going out to dinner shortly.
Well, if you change your mind, just call me.
Would you care for a drink?
Ah, whatever you're having.
2 mineral waters on the rocks coming up.
You look great tonight, Nola.
Oh, thank you, Elliot. I really had to rush a bit to get ready. I became so engrossed in those special reports on the news. I almost lost track of the time.
Anything I should know about?
Oh, well, haven't you heard what happened to Deborah Saxon?
Oh, yes. It seems she's been kidnapped, and the police suspects foul play. It's very unfortunate.
The child must be going through a terrible ordeal.
Yeah, if she's still alive.
Of course she is. She has to be.
Oh, you seem genuinely concerned.
Well, Deborah and I do know one another. I wonder if her plight has made the news on the West Coast. Owen would be heartsick if he knew.
Oh, that's right. You became friends when she helped to protect Paige, right?
Owen became a good deal friendlier with Miss Saxon than I, if you know what I mean.
Oh?
Didn't you know? I thought it was obvious that Owen had a crush on that girl. He certainly was wearing his heart on his sleeve.
And his feelings were reciprocated?
Deborah seems quite taken with Owen.
You know, Nola, you never told me about your feelings towards Owen.
It's a very good question.
I would have to assume that Mr. Madison's extracurricular activities had something to do with the problems in your household?
Well, I found it difficult to give Owen my blessing to take on a mistress.
But you know, Nola, sometimes these flings are just temporary.
Even if Owen tires of his cute little red head, yeah, there'll be others.
He's a fool to stray from a woman like you.
Well, I may no longer have my beauty, but I have my pride.
To my mind, Nola, you have both.
Well, I simply will have to accept the fact that I've lost him.
You're that sure that it's all over between you?
Oh, there's no doubt any longer. You know, I've begun to realize that it isn't losing Owen that bothers me as much as the fear of loneliness I'll have to experience without him. I don't have anyone else, you know.
If you had someone, would that help?
It would help a great deal.
But then your adjustment will not be so difficult. You have me.
Oh, dear Elliot, you have become a friend.
I was hoping I could become more than a friend, Nola. Don't you see that I've fallen in love with you?
I can't change your mind about dealing with this man, can I?
No, I'm afraid not.
Well, at least I hope that you're meeting this guy in a restaurant or some other public place. That would give you some degree of security.
Mike, I told you, I'm in no position to dictate terms.
You won't accept the fact that you're dealing with a totally ruthless individual.
Darling, I honestly don't think I'm in any danger.
You are much too trusting.
Hey, I've met the man. He isn't at all what you might expect.
Nancy, he's still a pill pusher.
Oh, sweetheart. The last thing in the world I want to do is worry you, please. I'll be all right.
Just remember, you're much more important to me than any story.
I'll get that. Hello. Yes, Susan. Ah. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Word about that woman?
Yeah. It was Deborah.
Miles, what would be a person's chances of surviving a night in the woods in weather like this?
Well, it really depends. If they were in reasonably good health, they'd be suffering from a case of exposure, not much else.
Deborah hasn't been in reasonably good health.
Yes, I know.
Miles? Nicole just came over the wire.
Have they identified her?
It was Deborah.
Is she all right?
Well, she's alive. They've taken her to Monticello General for treatment.
Treatment for what?
I don't know. It doesn't say anything about her condition.
Well, look, we are going to have to put off our shopping plans
It's
tonight.
okay. I've got to get on the air with this.
All right, Deborah is still my patient now. I guess if anybody needs me, I'll be at the hospital.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Max.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find, always on our mind. In frustrated days pass without sight, the edge of night, half dark, half light, as we watch our hearts trying to hold the tenderness that we once had.